And welcome to the DSC show, where there's a lot of wrestling, very little sport. Other than that, let's talk about, of course, the debacle, the brouhaha, the absolute disgrace that was Jets football on home field at MetLife. Week 14 game against the New Orleans Saints that are injury riddled over to hell. Several QB rotations, spout of injury, loss of Michael Thomas, and just a decline over a weak pass rush. And the Jets still couldn't even find a way for a team that was possibly even not even the favorites in last week's game, and they lose 30-9. We were scoping over field goals and punting the ball back and forth. Ty Johnson couldn't catch a ball to save his life or his mother's or his children if he had to depend on it. And it's a poor read routes off freaking Wilson. They just push to the dogs out there. That guy can't crop out a play. The most he had going was a 20-yard carry when he had to run off the field. And he went 19 of 42 off completion ratings. Most of them were possibly bad reads, drop balls off the receivers, or just underthrown. He can't push over double coverage, even rolling out of the pocket to find his tight end. It went underthrown and under a 5-yard pass. They played like they were in high school. Are you kidding me? They played like they just let the baseball kid come out here, and it's like, oh, there's nobody that can pass over 40 yards. So I guess get a kid from the baseball team so he can start over before spring. So that's technically what we're seeing right now. That's what we're seeing. Because the Jets are literally like that. Is literally that one guy, part of the crew in the hood, that you push. That's the push around. He's the guy that you go around and you ask him to go to the corner store. You ask him to go to bodega. You ask him to get the chips, the sandwiches, and the drinks, and you don't give him shit. That's the Jets. That's how they play offense. That's certainly how they play defense. How they push over. Alvin Kamara just dropping over 98 before the halftime, and there was already 2 rushing touchdowns. And that's coming over Alvin Kamara, just pushing over and receiving the ball. Sure, Taysom Hill wasn't as impressive. He was dropped over like only 50, and he was carrying over 17. And he fumbled twice over getting sacked a few times. Even a loose snap that caused like I think a second and 20 or second and 30. But that's it. Minute fatal plays that caused punts. They didn't cause turnovers. There was no interception except one that was called over off a deflection up in the red zone when the Jets thought they could score. They were awful. They were awful. Ty Johnson, trade this kid. The first round picks for the Jets, Denzel Mims, get rid of them. 2 pass interference calls over the offense. If you're doing consistent pass interference calls on your own side of the field, you don't deserve to be on the field. Hook, line, and sinker. Mims equals Sims to the way his mindset was over to the game. And just knowing, like, oh, the Jets, they're overdevelopment. I like Salah, don't get me wrong, and I'm not pointing that to the factor that he was once our defensive coordinator for the 49ers, but he's just not a bad coach. He of course shows passion over to the game. He has decent schemes to execute. These guys just are not good. You'll either get a few tackles over by Mosley, but average passing, these guys can't do odd routes in. And then we, of course, oh man, dude, not even the Jets receiving core would be enough to carry over this entire team. I'm being serious. The most we have over coming from was DJ Montgomery getting the bare minimum of receptions over going 6-3. Braxton Barrows was enough to at least garner like some 10-yard carries. Oh my god, and Ty Johnson went straight 7 of 4 off reception and dropped over basic routes off the flats. He's doing that, and Jamison Crowder's just there, just catching over the short carry because everybody says Zach Wilson has an arm. How come he's going 200 yards in 19 and 42? The guy just can't pass. He's inept in passing, and those come over decent blocking attempts from the O-line. So it's not even an excuse pushing over to the O-line. It's just coming from Zach Wilson just being an inept quarterback. And that's pushing over when they had Mike White. That's pushing over when they had Joe Flacco in the game. He just can't play football. And that's over to the interest that they could barely even get the bare minimum of possessions on. Most they can push over for is just pass over the short route, try to get as much yardage as you can, chuck it over from an out route and see what you can do. That's it. They don't want to do any other creative plays. They don't even try flea flickers. They have no other handoff protections. It's either attack the gut or nothing. New Orleans literally beat them in any other category. This is awful. Penalties off yardage. Jets beat them in that because they were just pushing over holding calls, 2 pass interference calls in under a minute, by the way. And just they just didn't know. I don't know what they were doing. I don't think they know what they were doing. Absolutely not. This is just not as not as impressive as I thought. Dwayne Washington played exceptional. I'll give it over to Chauncey Gardner Jr. that had a good pass deflection. Demario Davis, Marshawn Lattimore. I think Quan Alexander got a sack. Like 2 sacks over Zach Wilson and Granderson. And it was all off pressure. They were playing well done defensively and it shut off their defense. We got the bare minimum. Other than Quincy Wilson deflection and Kyle Phillips in like the second half got an easy sack on Taysom Hill. And there was like no deep ball throw. I was rewatching this just a day after I was watching this crap all over Red Zone because there was more games that they would pay attention to that'd be more exciting to watch than the Jets and any other team they're facing that week. Any other team. And I have a family member trying to ask me to waste my time rather than going to my job where I get money and I could possibly watch a team that I enjoy play. No. I gotta go to MetLife come January and just waste my New Year's going to MetLife to see them get pimp slapped by the Buccaneers. Are you kidding me? I'll try to enjoy that game. Possibly do a vlog. I don't know. Won't show my face, but be nice to get another experience at MetLife. I haven't been there since November of I think it was week 11 or week 12. They were facing off against the Bills. And they got gobsmacked by Matt Barkley. I think this was before Josh Allen was on the team. So that's the extent of excitement we had over that game. And people had the Jets as being a favorite. They couldn't even handle that. So this is going to push the Jets now. Yeah, this obvious elimination. 3 of 10. You can't come back over this. While the Niners are now like 6th or 7th seed, pushing over in the playoff race, and the Saints are still over in the playoff race. So that's going over to the Saints heading over the race. And there's plenty of 6-win teams that still have the destiny in order. This was just a gimme game for the Saints. And I say gimme game to an extent because anybody with a passable offense that has at least a fraction of talent that knows what they're doing, they can beat a high school, a third division college team with the ineptness of a head coach can beat this team. You don't need a professional level to beat the New York Jets, and this was just displayed easily. This was displayed way too easily. let's go over what's going to happen over the playoff race, because I'm just losing my patience over this waste of space. And I hate saying that, but that's the extent they're giving me right now. So we're pushing over to the AFC and NFC. Obviously, the Lions, Jaguars, Houston Texans, and New York Jets recently a point to elimination because they're the only teams right now with double-digit losses in the NFL season. Possibly come next week. Next week, the Bears and the Giants will join them, while the Seahawks are in a bit of a save after having the Texans and their superior offense played a bit better. Getting gobsmacked had to be the Jaguars, and I'm the Panthers, and that's going to be a huge reality slip right there. But the Saints are now a game over the Atlanta Falcons, and that's going to push them into 10th seed behind if they fall down over the Eagles that were pushing over their bye. So they're a bit... So they have a huge game ahead of them if they're still trying to at least push over wild card over the Washington football team after they got decimated by the Cowboys. So there's a possibility right now that the Vikings can hold all the cards and push it for 7th seed, but the constant favorites could be the Eagles because they have a more central offense and they don't have a lot of injuries like the Saints or just no other identity like the Falcons. Who I think is going to get eliminated is obvious. It's going to be the Seahawks, Giants, and Bears. And possibly the Raiders are going to get eliminated. Steelers could still file for wild card. I can see the Bucs falling in like 3 games or so. If the Bengals can fall short after their loss against the Niners, hopefully I'm wrong and the Bills can push over for wild card. That's the most extent I can have out of this. That's the most I can expect. Because, like, seeing how some of these teams have played pushing over for a wild card spot, it's like the Jets didn't want to play football. I understand they're over this rebuilding period, and I don't want this to push over Adam Gase because I like Robert Saleh. So, hopefully, because we have 4 weeks of football left, people. 4 weeks of football left. We're opening over with the Chiefs and the Chargers. Big collective game over for the Chargers if they can push over the division-leading Chiefs. Raiders in a Saturday doubleheader always in December when the Raiders go over to Cleveland in a big playoff implication spot. The first seed Patriots face off against the 7th seeded wild card spot Colts. The 4-9 Giants face the 9-4 Cowboys. Easy game right there. And the Texans, the 2-11 Texans face the 2-11 Jaguars. No one's really going to care about that game, but that's going to be there. Titans, the 9-4 Titans in a huge game against the Steelers on Sunday. And that's going to be a practical discovery because we know about the Claypool cycle and we know that the Steelers have a lack of an identity, pushing over the deep threat when the receiving core has a talent. They have an experienced Pro Bowling defense with an aging Ben Roethlisberger, and sure, they have the capacity to win games, but hopefully they don't get out of their own way, and I think that's the Steelers' real problem. The 3-10 Jets possibly could get snuffed, and sub-500 Dolphins could be possible. Could be possible, because we know what happened a few months prior when the Dolphins got ahead of themselves and the Jaguars stopped being winless. Then, of course, we got the 6-7 Washington football team and one of their multiple remaining divisional games they have against the Philadelphia Eagles, and where somebody has to break the bracket and try to push over to that 7 seed spot that, of course, the Washington football team still have. They still have a slide over for wild card spot, and they need to clutch out over with the most wins as possible because Washington, man, oh man, Washington have a huge road ahead of them, especially when most of their games remaining in the season are against division rivals, and also still with playoff implications being the Philadelphia Eagles and the top-seeded Dallas Cowboys pushing over 9-4. It's subliminally competitive, but I would say that their chances of beating Philly is still low in my opinion, even though I feel like Washington has the more superior offense. And then they got the Eagles again come January 2nd, and they're finishing off possibly a gimme on the road. By the way, majority of these games are on the road. This is going to be tough because you're facing off against effective crowds in a big division rivalry. So that's big. Then Lions against Cardinals, Panthers against Bills, Bengals against Broncos, Hawks against Niners. Easy game for us. Seahawks that against the Rams that upset the Cardinals on Monday Night Football. Packers, big game against deliberately the Packers. I don't know if Lamar Jackson's going to play. Big home game to get a decisive win where the Steelers could effectively build themselves up over the wild card, and the Ravens need to keep their spot and their momentum. So that's big if they're still going to push over Tyler Huntley, and they're going to end with our Sunday night game against the Buccaneers and the 6-7 Saints after beating the Jets. And the Buccaneers came over a big win last week, so still topping over the NFC South. And they're just still the residual favorites for the Super Bowl. So I don't know how they're going to push over that. They're the only team in the NFL next to the Packers and the Cardinals with double-digit wins. So that's something they push over all that. And it's 6-7 Vikings against the Bears on Monday Night Football. I think an alcoholic or an 85 Bears fan would be excited to see that game. So that's it for Week 15 implications and for the stupid game that I had to cover. Thanks for watching the DST show. That's it for me. I'm going to take my Tylenol.